Um,
Hi, Drew. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, Jake?
Very good. Excited to get to talk with you here tonight. I just want to open our time here with a word on confidentiality before we get too far. Like I said, my name is Jake, and I'm pleased to share this time with you. I am a student counselor through Spring Arbor University, and our session tonight is going to be recorded and viewed by my professor. However, that's going to be the only person with access to our video. And the only other thing I want to share with you is that I am a mandated reporter. So if at any point you were to become a harm to yourself or others, I would be obligated to share that information. Do you have any questions about any of that? Awesome. Okay, well, let's hop right in. I want to give you the floor to share whatever it is that brings you in here tonight.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, the past few weeks, I've just been feeling I've been feeling a sense of um almost loss, I guess. Feeling like a loss in terms of like my time, in terms of my relationship with God, um and it's just been difficult to like sit with that because yeah, I don't it just felt difficult to sit with those things because um as I've been feeling this loss, I've been feeling very like conviction to want to dive into it, and be more considerate of where am I putting my attention and my time. um I feel like it's getting eaten up by unnecessary things in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so feeling a sense of loss, and I heard you say with time with God. Do you feel like that's when you say losing time, is it just time with God that you're referring to, or is that appear in other places also?
Hmm. um that appears in other places. It's It's more of like a sense of, I think, a loss of leisure time. Um, Whether that is time for myself, or being intentional with my spirituality, or even like spending time with friends. Um, I think that I've just been so busy, and I feel like I'm trying so hard to get out of the busyness of life that it's causing me to be stressed out, I guess. Um, or even anxious about like what I need to do going forward. Um,
Yeah, okay. So we're feeling like there's a sense of loss of time, and that it sounds like, if I'm hearing it right, that that appears in a couple of different areas of life. But I've also heard you mention time with God specifically a few times. How do you know, or I guess when you're feeling that sense of loss, what emotions come up? How do you know that you're feeling those things?
yeah. I th hmm. A lot of it is when I am it's when I am kind of planning and organizing my day in the sense of what I need to do. And then I'm starting to see the loss of like, I guess I don't have time to spend 2 hours with God, which I used to be able to do. Or I don't have time to just call a friend, unless I want to do it on my 30-minute lunch break. Um, or people are like there's invites going out of like, hey, we're doing something, and I'm like, oh, I have class this day, or I have therapy this day, or I have work this time. Um, so it's a lot of when I'm either invited to things or I'm trying to make time and like schedule out like when can I actually have time to, I don't know, enjoy myself and like be intentional with the people that I care about.
Yeah. Would you say that you are? a big planner. Do you like scheduling things out?
Oh gosh, no. I'm an awful planner, which is part of my problem is because I say yes to a lot of things. Um, and so I do not like saying no. So I will say yes, and it will just drown out my week because I've already committed to a lot of things. And then even some things that I would find enjoyment in, it just feels like another thing that I have to do.
Yeah. So I guess I'm curious, when you feel like there's a loss of time, do you sense that in the day that it's happening, or are you thinking far out, like, oh my goodness, this month disappeared?
Hmm. Um, I think I feel it more. I think both. I think sometimes I'll just get to the end of the day and I'm like, whoa, what happened to the whole day? Um, but this whole year has felt fast for me. Like I've blinked and it's already April. I'm like, what is happening? Um, so yeah, I think that that happens throughout the months too. Just like not feeling like I'm not fully there, but like that it's going by really fast.
Yeah, I myself am a big watcher of the seasons where I see the holidays pass by and it's like, how did we get to this point already? It does move fast. Yeah. So let me ask you this then. If you were to imagine a world in which um, you felt like you had time for everything, I hear you say that you like saying yes to things, and don't like saying no to things. What kind of what would it look like in your day to day or your month to month if you were able to say yes to everything?
Wow. Yep, I've been thinking about that. Uh, Honestly, I would feel very burnt out and exhausted.
Hmm.
Um, I think I would be finding my fulfillment in a lot of these things. Which part of it is like a sense of this is what I want to do in order to feel fulfilled. Like I want to hang out with people. I want to get to know people on deeper levels. I want to spend more time like with God. Um, and then I'm realizing like, okay, so yeah, in a perfect world, right, then I would be where it wouldn't drain me and exhaust me. It would be able to do everything that I'd want to do and more. Um, and I know that's not possible. So I've realized I've thought about that. I'm like, it would honestly like just drain me more and more because I wouldn't have the capacity or the discipline to say no and say, oh, I need rest. Like I'm not identifying rest right now. My time isn't my problem I'm realizing is not more time. Um it's saying no to more things. Do you know what I mean?
You're saying that you sense that in yourself that you are saying no to more things, or that's something that you want to do.
That's something I want to do. That's a problem of mine. It's like, yeah, I don't feel like I do that enough.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like it seems like I heard you say a few times in there the term burnt out came in. So I kind of want to dive into that if you will for just a second here. Um, I guess to start, when you say burnt out, what feelings or emotions tell you that you're burnt out? How does that play out in your life?
Mhm. Mhm. Can really tell that I am burnt out when I stop listening. Um, when suddenly, like, when I'm doing something and I'm not present for it, um, like I'm just not mentally there, right? Um, I mean, I think about it like there are times that I'm with my girlfriend or I'm with friends or um, even where I'm like trying to read a book or do a leisure activity, and what's in my mind is like what I have to do or what I have to do like tonight, um, rather than the enjoyment of what I'm doing then. Um, yeah. I think with that, it's also um, like there's always the thoughts of I feel like I need to be better doing more. So I think I really realize and sense that burnout when I can constantly sense like, oh, I'm not doing enough. And this is what my tomorrow should look like. And I need to line it up in this way. Um, yeah.
What happens when you feel that when you feel that bubbling up in yourself, where you gave the example of if I'm doing one thing and thinking, oh my goodness, I have so much to do tonight, what happens?
Like what happens in what I'm thinking kind of
How
thing.
does, yeah, how does that
Right.
affect you in that moment, I guess?
Okay. Oh, in that moment, it takes me out of that moment. It puts me in a place of um anxiousness and um I feel like dread. It's like I'm like I start not finding today or tomorrow exciting, you know? It's like, ooh, I'm not really, and it makes me question too of like, am I really experiencing all that God has created me for? Or am I kind of letting it pass by? Um, or drowning myself in busyness in order to, I don't know, even stop thinking about things. Stop thinking about like what needs to be done, you know? Um, I think I can even over busy myself to procrastinate certain things that need to be done. Uh, so yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I think it really takes me out of the moment.
Okay. So one more question about this burnt out nature. Then, if you could for me, I want you to imagine a scale of 1 to 10,
Mhm.
with number one being I when I think about these feelings bubbling up, when I think about being burnt out or everything I have to do later in the moment, with one being that I can no longer even function. You know, I can't be in this place anymore. I'm shutting down actively. And a 10 being it's no problem. I'm as happy as a clam, as they say. Where would you say you are right now on that scale?
Um, right now in this instance, probably a five. Um, I think like it can take me out of the moment, but I can still function. And a lot of times I'm able to redirect my thoughts to like, you're here, let's just enjoy this, and God has the future figured out. But right now, we just finished class, and I'm thinking about, okay, I have this assignment to do. I'm gonna have the reflection paper, the other assignment, and then I got class, the next class, and thinking about hey, class and just grad school makes me think about the future. Like, oh, what is that going to be like? So in this moment, I think it's a little more, maybe a five. Um, yeah, probably a five or a four. Um, but most of the time, I would say I'm probably at like a six or a seven, and I'm usually able to regulate that pretty well, I think.
Okay. So even in this moment, you feel like you're at a five based on things that have just happened in the recent past.
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely. So
Okay. Yeah, I could hear the excitement level in your voice growing there as you thought about that. Um, I'm curious. I'm curious when you say that you're able to redirect yourself a little bit. Is there anything specific that you've learned helps, or yes, is there anything specific that you've learned helps?
yeah, um, absolutely. First thing is God for me. I will. I'm trying to learn to lean on Him and lean on His strength. So when I start doing that, um, and I start like thinking, okay, I am finite, He's infinite. he's got my future. That always helps like ground me because I'm like, okay, he's got me here for a reason. Um, and even if this isn't a thing that I get anxious about, is like, is this a part of God's plan? Am I following his will? Am I doing what he wants? Um, and a lot of that is just a fear of making my own decisions and making my own choices. But I have that fear. And when I start to think, okay, well, he's with me no matter where I am. He's leading my every step. Um, I need to just, take a breath and follow him. That helps a lot. Um, but a lot of times too, even like talking to, like if I'm with my girlfriend, right? Um, Sometimes I'll try and focus on like a specific aspect of her or like of whatever situation I'm doing. Um, like sometimes for her, I'll focus on her smile. I'm like, okay, let's just focus in on that one part of her. Um, if I'm like trying to read a book, sometimes I'll focus on like the environment around me and be like, oh, well, I see it's such a lovely day. Um, just take some deep breaths and then get back into my book. Um, or even like I'll focus on the cover rather than like flipping in and just starting to read. Just to kind of ground me and give me something, I don't know, pretty to look at too. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think those are great. Those are wonderful strategies. It sounds like are tried and true for you personally. That you mentioned, yeah, somebody smile, your girlfriend smile, that's wonderful. Or the environment around you, nature, that's a really good one. I love that.
Mhm. Thank you.
Of course. Um, well, I want to pause for just a second and ask you because I feel like I know you a little bit, but not too well. We're just getting to know each other. Um, Based on just your life experience, I guess, would you say that whether it be from your past or your present or how you're raised, would you say that I guess what I'm trying to say is how was burnout viewed in the context in
Mm,
which you live?
yeah. Um, I think, I haven't really thought about that. I think growing up, burnout was never talked about. It wasn't talked about. Um, my there's people on both sides of my family that are definitely workaholics. Like they will themselves to death. Um, and quite literally are having some medical problems because of how much they're working too. Um, my dad, he never complained about work. At least around us kids, you know. Um, he worked like I think he works 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. every day, and in concrete company. So he's like doing physical manual labor, um, for what, 10 hours a day, and he's never complaining about it. But he never takes days off, and he prides himself in that. And they actually force him to take PTO at the end of the year because he doesn't use it throughout the year. So I think even in that, I've kind of been taught you need to put your nose down, work, and get it done. The sense of I think burnout for me is like I don't know, it makes me feel almost weak. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, my dad doesn't experience this, or my mom doesn't experience this. Like, I she's stay-at-home mom, but she's working hard. And so I think because it wasn't talked about very much, I kind of had the idea of this is normal, that you're just supposed to keep working, and that means there's something wrong with me because I am struggling to keep up with all this stuff. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting. So it sounds like there are close family members even that you have seen work very hard and put in a lot of time um, into their life and the things that they care about. I do want to ask you though, when you watch family members do that, like your parents that you mentioned, how does it feel for you to watch that happen in others that you're close to?
It makes me sad in a lot of ways. Um, because as I'm reflecting on these questions of like, am I really making the most of my life? Like, is work and like, I don't know, doing school and doing a bunch of stuff that is quote unquote productive, is that really all that life is? And I think for a lot of my family members and for my dad in particular, I think that's a big part of like what they believe is worth like the point of life. You know what I mean? Is having something that they've accomplished. Um, and so as I've started to question these things too, it makes me sad. It makes me sad that one, they like I don't know, I can't imagine how hard that must be, to be doing that for 50 plus years, like of just believing that your works are what, you know, that they need to be working that hard all the time, I think. But two, it also is hard because it's like I feel like I can't talk to them about it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, so I want to hear your thoughts as I say this. 'Cause I hear a couple of things, and one is like, if I could use both my hands
Yeah.
in the there we go. In one hand, it sounds like you want to work hard to achieve to use the time that is given, perhaps, if I'm saying that in a way that you would agree with. And yet, on the other hand, I hear you say that it can be hard to watch as other people go through that same thing. Um, so I guess to throw it back to you, like when you hear the duality of those things, which I guess what would you say is the path forward with this idea that burnout does exist?
Hmm. Ooh, I think it's for me, it's slowing down. Um, the path forward for me is definitely just to live in the present and slow down. Um, I know that God has been telling me for a while that like I'm way too far in the future.
Hmm.
Um, and that he has gifts and a plan for me right now, like each day. It's not like I mean, he has a total plan for my life, but he has a plan for the next 24 hours. Um, and all he's asking me to do is be present for that. And instead of being present for that, I'm thinking like, what do I need to do? So I think for me, like the next step is for sure being more present, but what does that actually look like? I kind of I kind of believe it's intentionally taking a Sabbath day where I say no to everything and kind of just let that day be. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a very good goal to have and an action step that is already forming in your brain there. And I want to come back to that in just a moment, but not yet. Since I heard you say a minute ago that even in this moment, you feel like there is some feelings or thoughts of burnout or things that need to be accomplished. And um, yeah, it sounds like you do have some good coping strategy when it comes to that. And I heard you even briefly mention one of them being deep breathing. But I wondered if you'd be okay if we took a minute, even in this moment, and just went through a a process of deep breathing that I really like.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So,
So if you're comfortable with that, I'd love to lead you through that. And all that you need to do is just be comfortable in the space that you're at. And what I want you to do, you can close your eyes if you want to, you don't have to, whatever is more comfortable. Um, if you can take the thumb of your finger and just press it against one of your nostrils, just to close one side of your nose. And as you do that, you're going to breathe in at a five count, and I'll count you off to do that. You're
Okay.
going to breathe in five, and then we'll breathe out five together. And as you breathe out, you can take your finger off of your nose and breathe clearly. Does that sound good?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Incredible. Okay,
Let's
here
do
we
it.
go. You can go ahead and put your thumb on your nose, and we'll breathe in. One, two, three, four, five, and then out. Two, three, four, five. Awesome. And then what we're going to do now, we're just going to move your middle finger to the other side of your nose. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you can go ahead and breathe in. One, two, three, four, five. And then out. Two, three, four, and five. Awesome. So I guess as we're doing that, what do you experience? And you can be as
Um,
honest as you like.
um, um, uh, one of my nose, low key, kind of stuffy. So I was like, kind of hard to breathe. Um, but with the clear nose, it was good. Um, I think for me the five counts of just taking 5 seconds to breathe in, because I don't ever think about like how many seconds am I breathing? Like how fast is my breath? Um, how often do I take deep breaths? So just the 5 seconds is good to ground me. Uh, and that felt comforting.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad that that's helpful, and um, I would say feel free to continue to use that if you like that kind of technique when you're having those feelings, along with the other things that you mentioned. It sounds like you have some good strategies for grounding specifically, bringing you back to the moment when things feel overwhelming, or when your brain starts to go off into other things, to the future, to things to do lists, all of those things. Um, I guess so. One last thing I wanted to chat with you as our time begins to dwindle here. Um, you mentioned that you don't love planning. Is that accurate?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. Would you say that as we pursue um, a future where we can begin to identify maybe things that we want to say yes to, and maybe even some things we want to say no to, um, do you see planning as part of that process?
Hmm. I do. Yeah. Um, I even think in the sense of having a Sabbath day, planning that as my Sabbath is like part of that. And planning that out as like, nope, I'm not going to do anything. Um, planning to have no plans. Um, literally. And then when I do need to do stuff, like planning, I think even helping to organize my day out and intentionally, I don't think this is immediate action step. I think Sabbath is a good first step. But as I go on, like planning out throughout my day, little rests of just like me time rather than like what is going to happen in the future. So then okay, I'll have a time for homework and then I'll have like a 30-minute rest time, right? And then I'll have the next thing that I have to do. Um, and just intentionally having like chunks of time that's like I'm not going to think about homework because I have a time for that. I'm not gonna think about work. I'm not gonna think about this. Um, yeah. So I could see it being really helpful, and I'm not a planner. I'm not good at it. Which is why I want to do it. But
Hey, that's very honest though. That's very good to be aware of in yourself, especially as you're chatting through this topic.
yeah.
And I think you made a good point there of like I don't want to get too far ahead into action steps. I identify that this one uh, we've perhaps taken a Sabbath day is a good first step, and that's good right now. It's a comfortable thing before we get too far into it, too far ahead. Um, if you add too many action steps all at once, who knows what happens? But one is a good start. So I guess I wanted to ask you, how can you ensure that one step becomes a possible task? If it is a Sabbath day that you want to take, what are some ways to ensure that happens?
Hmm. think intentionally clearing out like, and even like, ooh, I don't know. I would say saying no to things on Saturday. Um, I already picked out a day. I've been thinking about this and trying this. Um, um, but I think even more than that, like, um, I think more than cutting everything out that I want to do, because it is like a good time for me to spend time with people. Um, because I do genuinely need that. I've noticed a lot of it is how I spend my time on my phone. Or like I've done intentional Sabbath days where I have nothing planned and then all I'll do is play video games or
Mm.
like watch Netflix, or sit on my phone. And I'm like, well, I'm resting. And then the whole day goes by and I'm like, feel awful. This felt worse than if I did stuff. Um, so I think I think intentionally putting boundaries on my phone and or video games, just technology in general. Um, yeah, boundaries on technology and not overcommitting. So maybe like one or two activities per day, not like five.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's well said, and I mean it's clear that you've already even in thinking about this, whether it's in the right now or if you thought this through before tonight, but you're aware of some obstacles that can come up to prevent that from happening. So I think that's another good consideration of as you're thinking even in advance of the objective that we're trying to set of what are some things that could come up along the way, some hurdles that might need to be uh, thought through and overcome. That's a really good thought. Um, Great. So as you're starting to close our time, I mean, I just want to summarize for us real fast, and you jump in and let me know if there's anything that I'm missing here. But what I've heard you say from tonight is that there's just a overall a sense of loss of time, and that affects a couple of different areas: time with God, time with friends, perhaps even family. And from that loss of time is a feeling of burnout. Um, and some of that might come from saying yes to too much, or even on the other side, a sense of I can't say no, and that there's a little bit of a tension there. And an action step to go forward from here would be, as you suggested, to set a Sabbath day, a day of rest, and you even mentioned a couple of ways about how to go about making that happen. And I think that's really good because that seems to combine some of the things that you love, which is time with God and making that a part of your process of helping to solve both the problem of rest and to give yourself a day and to give yourself a time of space and to bring God into that and to do it alongside of Him. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Um, how do you feel about our time tonight? Is there anything that you think as I say those things aloud? Any other thoughts that you have?
Nope, that you summarize it very well. That's pretty right. Um, yeah, I'm grateful for this time just to externally process and talk to you about these things. So
Of course,
thank
of
you.
course. Awesome. Well, then next time we meet, we can go over and see how that went with the Sabbath day, and I'm excited to find out.
Awesome.